Business models. A business model describes how an organisation makes money effectively. There is a value proposition. How am I going to solve my customer's problem? What are my key assets? My people skills, my distribution channels, my brand, other assets, intellectual assets, and my processes, how I go about creating that, and a profit formula. How do I have a revenue model, a cost model that ends up making sufficient money to justify being in that business? So that's what a business model is. But what we're interested in is innovative business models. When they change, how much destruction does that make to some existing industries? And we already know that. I mean, we've heard about Airbnb and Uber, and we all know about the retail industry, the publishing industry. What industry is not being disrupted? So a disruptive business model could include one that is called as a service business model. And that's what cloud computing is. But I want to tell you a little bit more about that, because it is a shift from our traditional way of thinking of buying and selling, where we have a vendor and a buyer of something. And it's computer hardware, or whatever you wish. But that's a common commercial model that we're familiar with. But the as a service model changes it. It completely flip-flops. Now we have an owner and a renter. Previously, the vendor would sell the equipment to the buyer, and the problem and all the issues about making that asset perform now belong to the buyer. But the as a service business model, the responsibility for performance remains with the owner. And if that isn't provided effectively, then that renter can quickly shift. It's not limited by any means to the IT industry. There are many other growing examples. One of the examples would be tyres as a service. So North America and Europe, Goodyear offers a service to trucking companies where they don't even own their tyres. There are sensors in the tyres that enable them to figure out what the wear is, the temperature, and they change them when they move from a cold to a warm climate and back again. In other words, the whole life cycle of tyres is managed by Goodyear. Now, is managing tyres for a trucking company a core competency that they must have to be effective? Of course not. And is trucking a high margin or low margin business? Well, it's a low margin. So if you know exactly what it's going to cost you to move something from A to B in terms of tyres, it's going to help you price your services more effectively. And from the Goodyear's point of view, they have a complete control over the whole life cycle of those tyres. You might also call it thrust as a service. So Royce and General Electric, who make jet engine for aircraft, also offer a similar process where they have sensors in those engines that measure when they should be maintained, how much they're used. And so if that truck's sitting idle, that aircraft's sitting on the form, there is no cost involved. What do you think's happened to the quality of jet engines over time? Because this has been going on for 25 years in Rolls-Royce's case. The key benefit is those jet engines have become far more reliable and more effective because the cost has been shifted back to the owner providing the service. So why would you have mechanics or engineers scattered around the world with spare parts if you could raise the quality of your product? So you get lots of unintended benefits. This is an image of a disruptive business model innovation. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And you understand the story. We've got some sheep continually grazing there, and a wolf comes along with a sheep pelt over it, creeps up closer and closer until the sheep's gone. And that's how innovative, disruptive business models happen. It's similar to that exponential curve. Hardly any changes until it's too late. And we see that over and over. And why does that happen? And this has been well studied. The most competent of firms seem to be standing transfixed as they know that something's coming towards them. It's as if you're standing on the railway tracks and you see that locomotive coming towards you. The light's on, the horn's going, you know it's coming, and you stand there until it's too late and you get wiped out. And it just happens all the time to the best of companies. The reasons are attributed to a number of factors. One of them is simple. I saw it coming, but it didn't seem to be important enough. We were in a strong commercial position. We own most of the market. These are just little guys. Culture. How the culture works. I don't believe in this kind of technology. It'll never take hold. Hubris. just self-denial. Reward systems that say, well, I sell this big lumpy stuff, I'm not going to sell services until it becomes too late. So that's a very important idea to keep in the back of your minds as we understand disruptive business models having a significant impact. Think about what that means. In the last 10 years, around 40% of the organizations that entered Fortune 500 listing did so because of disruptive business model innovation.